Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you some decimal place value. I'm going to show you how to read and write decimals to the thousandths place using standard form, word form, expanded form, and expanded notation. The first decimal number that I'm going to give us is 82 and 537 thousandths. The first form I'm showing you is standard form, and you're looking at it. Standard form is the same thing as just number form. It's how we would typically see numbers written. Word form is going to be exactly like how it sounds. It's just writing this decimal value out in words. But it's kind of hard to do that if we don't understand the place values and how to read decimals. So how we read decimals is we break it apart. We break it apart into whole number versus part of a whole. And what separates those two values is this decimal point right here. And how we pronounce the decimal is we say and. We don't say 82 point. We don't say 82 decimal. It's 82 and. It's like how your teachers have probably told you in the past before that we're not supposed to say and when talking about a whole number. It's like if you had 328, your teacher would say, we just say 328. And it's because that and shows that there's a part of a whole included as well. It's just like how we would say mixed numbers, 3 and a half, 2 and 3/4. So like I said before, we're just going to separate it by whole number and part of a whole. So we'll read the whole number part first, and this is 82. The decimal says and. And then how we read the decimal part is we just read the complete value from start to finish. So 537 would be 537. And then we label it with wherever this number ends. So in this particular decimal value, it ends with this 7 in the thousandths place. It goes tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So because it ends in the thousandths place, that's what we will label it. And there you have it in word form, 82 and 537 thousandths. So when we're talking about expanded form, I always tell my students to think about what the word expand means, and typically we think we're getting bigger. So it's not that we're making this value bigger, but we're making the form bigger. And we're going to do that, like you're going to see that it's going to kind of get wider as we work along with this. And that's because we're going to break down each digit by its value. For example, an 8 in the tens place is an 80. As we break these up by the digits and separate them, we're going to keep them separated using plus symbols. So next one over is a 2 in the ones place. That would just be a 2. Next is a 5 in the tenths place. With expanded form and expanded notation, you might see these either in decimal form or in fraction form, because as we work through 5th grade, we're going to learn that fractions and decimals are really just representing the same part of a whole, but just looks a little bit different. So I'll go ahead and fill this out using the fraction portion, and then I'll include a picture of what the decimal form looks like. So a 5 in the tenths place would be 5/10. As a fraction, we can write it like this. Next is a 3 in the hundredths place. We can also write that as a fraction, like 3/100. And the last one is a 7 in the thousandths place. So we'll write 7/1000 as a fraction. So we didn't make this value bigger, but we made it look bigger by spreading it out more and breaking it down by place value. So we can see how it expanded. Expanded notation is going to be one more step more broken down than expanded form. In expanded notation, we're going to represent the digit times the place value. An 8 in the tens place would look like this. Just like in regular expanded form, they're going to be separated with a plus sign for each digit. I put parentheses around the value for each digit just to keep myself organized and keep it clearly laid out so I can tell which value goes to which digit. Next is a 2 in the ones place. So we would write that like this. So we're doing digit times place value. Digit times place value. When we get to the decimal part itself, that represents part of a whole, which can either be shown through decimals or fractions. Again, I will show you the fraction way, and then I'll include a picture of how to do it the decimal way. So a 5 in the tenths place would look like this. It's a 5 in the tenths place. Next, we have a 3 in the hundredths place. And lastly, a 7 in the thousandths place. I think some of the situations where kids get most confused about this is when they see a 0 in this number. They're not quite sure what to do with it. In standard form, it's still going to look the same. This is it in standard form. It's just regular number form. In word form, we would just go ahead and read it and write it down as we would read it. We remember how to break it down between whole number and decimal number. So we would read our whole number first, 3. Decimal says and then we read our entire decimal number, 402, and it ends again in that thousandths place. Remember, it goes tenths, hundredths, thousandths, so that's what we will label it. In expanded form, we're still going to go digit by digit and just write down each digit's place value. But you'll see what happens when we get to the 0. We always just start with that biggest place value, just like we're reading. We always go left to right. So a 3 in the ones place is just a 3. We separate with plus signs. A 4 in the tenths place would be 4 tenths. Again, I'm writing it in fraction form, but just be aware that there is also a decimal form. But when we get to the 0, here's what we do. We just skip it and go on to the next digit. Because expanded form and expanded notation work from the greatest place value all the way to the smallest place value, if one place value gets skipped, then we automatically know that there should be a 0 there. So because there's a 0 here, I'll skip it and just go right to the 2. So that's a 2 in the thousandths place. So we'll write it as 2 thousandths. And there we have it in expanded form. That's something to be aware of. There will be problems where a number is given to us in expanded form and we need to put it back into standard form. So as we're doing that, just make sure you work left to right. We've got a 3 in the ones place. Once we move to fractions or decimals, we should know to put our decimal there because we're moving into part of a whole. We have a 4 in the tenths place. And then we have a 2 in the thousandths place. Now, they can't just go ahead and get rid of the hundredths place, so we need to put a filler there, which will be a 0. And a 2 in the thousandths place. By the way, here's what it would look like in expanded form, but using decimals instead of fractions. Notice the same thing. We went from the ones place to the tenths place, skipped the hundredths place, and went right to the thousandths place. So that shows us that there's a 0 in that place. With expanded notation, when you have a 0, it's going to be the same thing that we just did with expanded form. We're just going to skip that place value. So a 3 in the ones place, we would write like this. We still separate with plus signs. 4 in the tenths place. Because remember, in expanded notation, we do the digit times the place value. Digit times the place value. So when we get to that 0, we don't need to include it. We just skip right to the 2. and that's a 2 in the thousandths place. So that's what 3 and 402 thousandths would look like in expanded notation. And I know you guys were just dying to know what that would look like with decimals instead of fractions, so here you have it.